Would you trust your boss? What about your neighbor? What if I told you that right now, your best friend could be secretly working for a deadly enemy? In Iran, this has gone from being a distant hypothesis to a reality. The entire country has been plunged into an atmosphere of panic, espionage, and silent executions. A veritable witch hunt is underway, but with real-life targets and deadly consequences. Since the beginning of the silent war between Israel and Iran, a war of drones, sabotage, and secrecy, the Iranian regime has collapsed from within. The information that most shocks the world today is direct and raw. Up to 1 in 4 Iranian officers may be spying for Israel. Does that sound like an exaggeration? Not when you consider the surgical strikes that Israel has been carrying out deep inside Iranian territory, eliminating generals, scientists, and sabotaging nuclear facilities without leaving a trace. Or almost. The Iranian government reacted like a wounded animal. It went on high alert. Today, walking down the street wearing a cap or sunglasses is enough to raise suspicions. Large backpacks, pickup trucks with covered beds, cars driving at night, everything has become grounds for reporting. The authorities have launched public campaigns asking the public to report any abnormal behavior. Co-workers acting differently, neighbors going out late at night. Even the simple fact that someone changed the lock on their door could be a sign of espionage. This paranoia has become institutionalized. In today's Iran, routine has become an obligation, and any deviation can cost you your life. And what has the Iranian government done with these allegations? Simple mass arrests, secret trials, and summary executions. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of people have been detained without warrants, without lawyers, and without a fair trial. The penalty? Always the same: death. And it usually comes within hours of the sentence being announced. For the regime, time is now an enemy. They believe they are surrounded, infiltrated, and betrayed from within. And so, Parliament rushed to pass laws that expand the use of the death penalty to espionage crimes. In practice, any unfounded suspicion can turn into a fatal sentence. The problem is that the crackdown has gotten out of hand. It's not just spies that are being targeted. The regime is already using this hunting structure to eliminate political opponents, ethnic minorities, journalists, and even foreigners. International analysts compare the situation to a Soviet purge. Iran, mired in decades of sanctions and economic mismanagement, now faces a new enemy: its own people. But what justifies this wave of brutality? A series of attacks. On June 13th, Israel launched a series of covert operations inside Iran. The result? Dozens of nuclear scientists, engineers, and high-ranking military officers were eliminated within hours. And how was this possible? With inside information, with pure espionage. The revelation is shocking. The Israelis knew exactly where and when to strike. Someone was, and still is, providing crucial information to the enemy. But Israel's methods go beyond anything any spy movie has ever shown. Drones, hackers, maids, and even personal drivers have been turned into pieces in a silent and lethal game. How is the Mossad managing to outwit the most paranoid regime in the Middle East? And why might even ordinary people be spying on them without knowing it? What scares the Iranian regime most is not just the fact that it is being spied on, it is being spied on. Israel no longer relies exclusively on double agents, infiltrated with false identities. The game has changed. Now, the Mossad uses much more sophisticated and, above all, silent techniques. One of the most effective strategies has been the recruiting people who don't even know they are collaborating. Through cyber attacks, Israel accesses the email accounts, private messages, and communication networks of Iranian officials in sensitive positions. In this way, they can monitor the movements of high-ranking officials, intercept strategic decisions, and, worse, anticipate reactions. And this without ever placing a single physical spy on site. Furthermore, the Israelis are infiltrating their operations through ordinary people. Maids, drivers, gardeners, security guards, and even cleaners. People who move freely through high-security areas without attracting attention. A driver can reveal travel routes, arrival and departure times, secret meetings. A maid can see documents, listen to conversations, record audios. And the most impressive thing, Many of them don't even know they are collaborating with the enemy. Sometimes all it takes is a forgotten pen drive, a cloned cell phone, a hacked laptop. Israel's ability to strike high-value targets with surgical precision, such as generals, scientists, and even the head of Iranian intelligence, killed in the first minutes of the recent offensive, exposed a grotesque flaw in Tehran's security structure. And the regime itself has publicly acknowledged this. But acknowledging a mistake is not the same as accepting vulnerability. Iran then reacted more strongly. It intensified repression. Arrests multiplied. According to international human rights organizations, thousands of people have been detained in recent months without any formal charges, based solely on anonymous complaints or unfounded assumptions. Access to the defense was denied. Trials were held in secret, and the death penalty, as is customary in the country, was applied with brutal speed. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Israeli Secret Service decided to do something unusual. Speak out. In a rare video, the director of Mossad himself appeared publicly praising the agents involved in operations inside Iran. The images, although with blurred faces, sent a clear message. We are in there, and we remain active. The Iranian response was not long in coming. The Ministry of Intelligence announced a tightening of the intelligence jihad, with internet shutdowns in several regions of the country, attempts to track digital intrusions, and new internal operations to identify traitors. But the damage has already been done. Trust among members of the regime has been shaken. No one knows who is who anymore, and it is in this environment that spies thrive. With a population of 90 million inhabitants, plunged into economic crisis, hunger, unemployment, and despair, Iran has become a breeding ground for recruiting informants. The promise of money, security, and freedom is too tempting to ignore, and the Israelis know it. They use it. In the operation that led to the elimination of leader Ismail Rania in Tehran, Mossad agents recruited 2 internal employees, one from the house security team and the other from the cleaning team. Both were responsible for providing vital information, schedules, access, cameras. In return, they received tickets out of the country, new identities, and enough money to start a new life away from repression. This type of action has become increasingly common, and the Iranian regime, in desperation, is trying to compensate for its internal fragility with drastic measures, closing the country even further, isolating itself from the world, encouraging anonymous reporting. But the side effect is devastating. False accusations due to personal revenge, political rivals being accused without evidence, arrests due to jealousy, neighborhood disputes, or even for religious reasons. Prisons are overcrowded. Courts are unable to handle trials. And the regime, instead of containing the crisis, seems to be using the chaos to promote a silent purge, eliminating now those who may pose a threat in the future. Meanwhile, Israel continues to operate in the shadows. Invisible spies, tiny drones, spy chips hidden in mundane objects. And the question that hangs in the air is inevitable. How far does this go? Will this paranoia destroy the Iranian regime from within? Or will it use this permanent state of war to further strengthen itself, at the cost of freedom, justice, and society itself? Today, more than tanks or missiles, true power lies in information. Whoever knows more wins. And Israel understood this better than anyone. What is happening in Iran is just the visible reflection of a silent war that is already being waged across the planet, the total spy war. Iran, with its strategic position in the Middle East, its ambitious nuclear program, and its aggressive rhetoric against Israel and the West, has become the #1 target of Israeli intelligence operations. But the most surprising thing is not that Israel is spying. That is to be expected in any conflict between rival powers, but that the level of depth that this espionage reached. Western military experts point out that the Israeli network inside Iran is one of the largest ever set up in enemy territory since the Cold War. And it is not limited to the big names in government. It extends to the lowest levels. University students, maintenance technicians, government employees, delivery people, nurses. All of them, at some point, have been used, directly or indirectly, to supply Israel with valuable information. But why would so many people be willing to collaborate with a declared enemy? The answer is simple: despair. The economic crisis that has been gnawing at Iran for decades has created an ideal environment for recruitment. Delayed wages, absurd inflation, food shortages, hospitals without medicine, mass unemployment. When survival is at stake, any offer that offers safety, money, and the chance to escape becomes a real option. And Israel knows exactly how to exploit this. Its operations offer collaborators something the Iranian regime can no longer guarantee: future. In exchange for small pieces of information, often considered harmless, informants are promised safe removal from the country, a new identity, and a new life somewhere else. For many, it is the only way out. Meanwhile, inside Iran, the regime is responding with ever more repression. But repression, when driven by fear and mistrust, loses its precision. It starts to target everyone, the guilty and the innocent alike. And that is happening now. The Iranian justice system is overwhelmed by an avalanche of charges, many of them trumped up. People are being arrested for looking strangely, for having relatives abroad, for using Western apps on their phones, for having old photos with foreigners. The direct consequence of this is the collapse of trust. Officials begin to distrust their own subordinates. Brothers denounce brothers. Civil servants avoid speaking out at work. Even silence has come to be interpreted as suspicion. Fear has become the official language. The state, which once ruled by shouting, now rules by whispering distrust. And Israel silently watches all this. Its operations continue. Small drones, some less than 20 centimeters long, are hidden inside trucks, parcel boxes, or even children's toys. They map installations, identify cameras, intercept communications, and even launch mini-strikes to clear the way for fighters or sabotage systems. Many analysts believe that Mossad is testing in Iran a new model of invisible warfare, which does not depend on armies, but on data. It is not fought in trenches, but on Wi-Fi networks, power cables, cell phone signals. And that changes everything, because this war can be taken anywhere in the world, including into our homes. The Iranian case has become an extreme example, but not an isolated one. Several countries are watching this escalation and preparing for similar situations. After all, if even Iran, with its ultra-closed and repressive system, can be infiltrated in this way, who is really safe? After all, the question that haunts us is not how many spies are inside Iran, but rather, how many are already within your country, your government, your company, your routine? And worse, how many don't even know they are already being used? This is the new face of modern espionage. Cold, silent, digital, and increasingly impossible to detect.